Michael Landon was a household name for decades, the face of warmth, family values, and wholesome entertainment. You probably remember him as the kind-hearted father on Little House on the Prairie, the strong, steady figure on Bonanza, or the hopeful guide in Highway to Heaven. But what if everything you thought you knew about him was only part of the story? What if behind that perfect smile and those comforting roles, Michael Landon was hiding secrets that would change how we see him forever? Secrets that didn't come to light until after he was gone. Most people picture Landon as the quintessential TV dad, always at all for wisdom, a hug, or a smile when things got tough. His shows were like a safe space where families gathered around the TV for heartwarming lessons. But real life is rarely that simple, and Landon's story is no exception. He was a man of many layers, and some of those layers were hidden behind a carefully maintained public image. In fact, the very things that made him beloved on screen may have been the things he struggled with most deeply off-screen. After his death in 1991, new stories began to emerge. Quiet whispers at first, then more outspoken revelations. Fans, and even close friends started to wonder what they might not have known. What personal battles did Landon fight behind the scenes? Were the family dramas kept private because they were painful or just too complicated? Why did he keep some parts of his life so tightly sealed? And most importantly, what was the secret that finally surfaced after his passing? One that sheds light on the man behind the legend? As we dig into Michael Landon's life, you'll see how fame and image can sometimes mask the hardest truths. This isn't just a story about a beloved actor. It's about the cost of living in the spotlight, the pressure to be perfect, and the hidden struggles many stars face but rarely admit. And just when you think you got it figured out, the twists and turns keep coming. But that wasn't the whole story, because Landon's secret isn't just about him. It's about family, legacy, and how we remember those we think we know best. The revelations after his death revealed not just a man, but the father, the husband, and the person wrestling with a private pain few understood. So buckle up, because this story goes far beyond the TV shows and the public persona. It's a deep dive into a life full of surprises, untold struggles, and finally, a secret that changed everything we thought we knew about Michael Landon. Michael Landon's name became synonymous with American television's golden era, a star who seemed to embody the very spirit of family, hope, and perseverance. From his breakout role as Little Joe Cartwright on Bonanza to his heartfelt portrayal of Charles Ingalls in Little House on the Prairie, Landon didn't just act. He created worlds people wanted to live in. His shows were more than entertainment. They were emotional lifelines for millions. Bonanza, which aired from 1959 to 1973, made Landon a household name when he was still in his 20s, playing the youngest son on a sprawling Nevada ranch. He was part of a series that set the standard for Western dramas. But Landon wasn't content to just act. He began writing and directing episodes, showing a hunger to shape stories himself. That creative drive would define the rest of his career. After Bonanza ended, Landon landed what would become his most iconic role, Charles Ingalls in Little House on the Prairie. This show wasn't just a hit. It was a cultural phenomenon, running from 1974 to 1983 and painting an idealized picture of pioneer life. It was a show about love, faith, family struggles, and small-town triumphs. Landon's performance was tender and genuine, making viewers feel like he was not just an actor, but someone who lived the values he portrayed. Then came Highway to Heaven in the mid-1980s, where Landon played an angel sent to help people in need. This series cemented his image as a symbol of kindness and hope. The roles he chose and the stories he helped tell were consistently about healing and redemption. It's no wonder fans grew to trust him, seeing him as a figure who could guide them through life's ups and downs. But this beloved career also came with immense pressure. Landon was not only in front of the camera, but also behind it, writing, directing, producing. His name was on everything, and he pushed himself hard to maintain the perfect image. To the public, he was a star who never faltered, a man whose life seemed as flawless as his characters. Yet, that image hid a more complex reality. Behind the scenes, Landon struggled to balance his demanding career with a complicated personal life. His relentless work ethic sometimes left little room for rest or reflection. And while his on-screen roles were full of hope and positivity, Landon's off-screen world was often marked by emotional and family challenges that rarely made headlines. Fans adored the characters he created, but few truly knew the man who lived behind the scenes. The smiling father and moral guide on TV was also a husband navigating multiple marriages and a father facing difficult family dynamics. The star who preached love and forgiveness was also wrestling with private pain and secrets that were kept far from the spotlight. Yet despite these struggles, Landon remained committed to his work. His career was a testament to his drive to inspire and comfort audiences, even if it came at a personal cost. And this dedication is what makes the later revelations about his life all the more surprising and heartbreaking. And what happened next would shock everyone. Despite the perfect image Michael Landon projected on screen, cracks had already begun to show behind the curtain. The wholesome family man fans adored was struggling with challenges that hardly ever made it into the tabloids or entertainment news. These were battles fought quietly, in private moments far from the bright lights and cameras. Long before his health became a major issue, Landon's personal life was anything but simple. Rumors swirled around his relationships, marriages, and family dynamics, though many of these were carefully kept out of public view. He was married 3 times and had 9 children, which brought its own set of complexities. Managing such a large family, along with a demanding career, created tensions that weren't always easy to hide. Friends and insiders have hinted at emotional struggles that Landon rarely talked about. Behind the scenes, he wrestled with self-doubt and the heavy expectations placed on him, not just as a star, but as a man who had become a symbol of goodness and moral clarity. That pressure sometimes weighed on him like a secret burden. Imagine living every day with millions watching, expecting you to be the perfect dad, the perfect husband, the perfect role model. That kind of spotlight can be blinding. Whispers about Landon's private battles began circulating, but he worked hard to maintain a calm, steady front. His image was carefully managed, and many fans only saw the loving father and dedicated artist. But those close to him knew the truth was more complicated. Some accounts describe moments when Landon's facade cracked, revealing a man dealing with pain and frustration that couldn't be easily fixed with a script or a smile. Adding to the pressure were the rumors of tensions with some of his children, particularly in later years. Family dynamics are never simple, but for Landon, these private conflicts were magnified by fame and public attention. Some family members have spoken in interviews and memoirs about moments of distance or misunderstanding, painting a picture of a father who was sometimes distant, overwhelmed, or caught between his public life and private responsibilities. And there were hints that Landon's struggles may have extended into other areas, too. Some sources have speculated about emotional and mental health challenges, though the exact details remain guarded out of respect and privacy. What's clear is that beneath the surface of his public persona, Landon was a man dealing with more than most of us ever saw. All these hidden challenges created a stark contrast with the warm, reassuring characters he portrayed on television. It's this tension between public and private life that sets the stage for the revelations that would come after his death. Secrets that had been carefully locked away began to emerge, slowly painting a more complex portrait of the man behind the legend. And just when fans thought they had pieced it together, the most surprising revelations were still to come. Michael Landon's public image was one of strength and resilience, but behind that was a private battle many didn't know about until years after his passing. His fight with cancer was more than just a headline. It was a secret war waged quietly, with layers of pain and courage that the world didn't fully see. In 1991, Landon was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, a disease notorious for its severity and quick progression. But long before that grim announcement, Landon had kept his health issues mostly under wraps. He didn't want his illness to overshadow the work he loved or the image fans had come to cherish. For someone so deeply tied to hope and healing on screen, admitting vulnerability felt almost impossible. He underwent intense treatments, including surgeries and chemotherapy, but managed to stay active professionally as long as he could. The man who had spent decades playing roles full of optimism and faith was now fighting a harsh and relentless battle behind the scenes. The physical pain was compounded by emotional exhaustion, and yet Landon's determination to keep going was remarkable. What made this battle even more difficult was the secrecy surrounding it. Unlike many celebrities who publicly share their health journeys, Landon's approach was to shield his family and fans from the harsh realities. He wanted to protect those around him from the heartbreak and fear he was feeling inside. His close friends and family were left to navigate the heavy silence. The secrecy only deepened after his death. Stories surfaced about just how severe his condition had been and how much he suffered in silence. Some have speculated that this concealment was part of a larger pattern in his life, holding in pain and struggles, not wanting to burden others or break the perfect image he'd built. But the cancer was only part of the story. Behind the tough exterior, Landon also wrestled with emotional pain that no treatment could cure. Interviews with family members revealed glimpses of the toll this illness took on his spirit. It's been suggested that the years of carrying such heavy burdens, personal struggles, family tension, relentless work, and then cancer, left him drained in ways fans never imagined. And yet, even as his health declined, Landon's spirit and commitment to his work never fully faded. He continued to write and direct, even as his body grew weaker. His final projects are often seen as a testament to his resilience and dedication, though few realized just how much he was suffering. The full truth about Michael Landon's last years, his hidden pain, the battles he fought alone, and the sacrifices he made, reminds us how little we sometimes see beneath the surface of fame. The man who gave so much hope to others was himself in need of hope. But even this deep struggle wasn't the end of the story. What followed after his death would shock many and reveal secrets that few expected. Behind the warmth and charm Michael Landon showed the world, his family life was far more complicated than most fans realized. The man who played the loving father on television wasn't immune to the challenges and tensions that can strain any family, especially one living under the spotlight. Landon's personal life included 3 marriages and 9 children, which naturally brought its own challenges. Balancing a large family while managing a demanding career was no easy task, and over time, the pressures showed. Some of his children have spoken openly about the complicated relationships they had with him, moments of love mixed with distance, misunderstandings, and the weight of fame hanging over everything. One of the more surprising revelations that came after his death involved tensions that were kept hidden from the public. For example, some family members described feeling overshadowed by Landon's larger-than-life persona and the expectations that came with it. The TV star wasn't just their father. He was a legend, and that sometimes made it hard for his children to find their own identities. Landon was reportedly a demanding father at times, expecting a lot from his children while trying to protect them from the harsher realities of the world. Some say he was distant, not always emotionally available in the way fans might have expected. This isn't unusual for parents juggling fame and work, but added a layer of complexity to their relationships. There were also moments when family tensions seemed to reach a breaking point. Sources close to the family have hinted at disagreements and struggles behind closed doors, especially in the later years of Landon's life. These conflicts were rarely discussed publicly but shaped the family's dynamic deeply. Adding to this mix were the challenges Landon faced with his marriages. His first 2 marriages ended before he settled with his 3rd wife, Cindy Clerico. Each relationship brought joys and struggles, and navigating them while balancing career demands made things even harder. The public rarely saw the private ups and downs, but those close to Landon knew they were very real. Some of these strains likely worsened as Landon's health declined. Battling cancer while managing family difficulties created a heavy emotional toll. In interviews, Landon's children have described how the family tried to come together during those final months, but old wounds and unresolved issues still lingered. Yet despite the tension, love remained at the core of the family's story. Many who knew Landon insist that, beneath the complexities, he deeply cared for his children and wanted the best for them. His desire to protect his family sometimes meant keeping difficult truths private, hoping to shield them from pain, even if it meant carrying a burden alone. This hidden side of Landon's family life sheds new light on a man who was so often seen as a symbol of perfect fatherhood. It reminds us that fame can complicate even the most intimate relationships, and that behind every public figure is a private story full of both love and struggle. And just when you think you've uncovered the full picture, the story takes another unexpected turn. As Michael Landon's health worsened, the final years of his life became shrouded in a mix of silence, speculation, and surprising revelations. While the public knew he was battling cancer, the full picture of what was happening behind closed doors remained hidden, until after his death when pieces began to surface, painting a more complex and mysterious portrait of his last days. Landon chose to keep many details private, both out of respect for his family and a desire to maintain the hopeful image he had cultivated for so long. But this silence only fueled rumors. Some wondered whether he was getting the best possible care, or if there were other struggles he was quietly enduring. Friends and insiders hinted at moments when Landon's condition was far more serious than anyone outside his inner circle realized. In the months leading up to his passing, Landon continued to work, writing, directing, even appearing on screen despite his declining health. It was as if he was determined to leave behind a legacy that overshadowed the illness. But behind that determination lay a deeper, more painful reality. Those close to him recall the emotional and physical exhaustion he faced, and how he wrestled not only with his disease, but with the emotional weight of what all meant. There are also stories about Landon's personal reflections during this time, conversations with family and friends that revealed a man grappling with regret, hope, and the desire to make peace. Some accounts describe moments of vulnerability, when Landon opened up about the price of fame, the challenges he'd faced, and his hopes for how his story would be remembered. Adding to the mystery are reports of undisclosed details about his treatment and final days. Certain aspects of his illness were kept under wraps, not just from the public, but even from some family members. This secrecy sparked questions about whether Landon was trying to protect others or simply wanted to face his battle alone. After his death in July 1991, more secrets began to emerge. Memoirs from family members and interviews with close friends revealed unexpected sides of Landon, struggles with emotional pain, moments of doubt, and the weight of being a man who had spent his life playing roles of strength and kindness. The mystery around those final years also includes speculation about how much Landon's private pain influenced his work and relationships. Was there a connection between his declining health and the tensions in his family? Did he truly find the peace he sought? And what were the secrets he took to his grave that only now, decades later, are starting to be understood? These questions linger, adding a layer of complexity to the legacy of a man who seemed larger than life. Michael Landon's final years weren't just about illness. They were about a man confronting his own humanity in ways few ever saw. And what came next after his death revealed truths that shocked even those closest to him. After Michael Landon's passing, the quiet that surrounded his private life began to break, and new confessions emerged that surprised many. Family members, close friends, and even industry insiders started to share stories that revealed sides of Landon few had ever seen. These untold stories challenged the perfect image that had long defined him and gave fans a more nuanced understanding of the man behind the legend. One of the most talked about revelations involved the complexity of Landon's relationships with his children. Some shared that while he was a loving father, he could also be distant and demanding, traits that made family life complicated. Several children spoke candidly about feeling the weight of a celebrity and how it sometimes overshadowed their own experiences growing up. These confessions brought a new perspective on the struggles behind the smiles on set. Additionally, a few family members hinted at emotional wounds that remained unhealed, suggesting that Landon's private battles with mood and stress might have been greater than anyone realized. There were moments when he seemed to carry invisible scars, likely from years of trying to balance fame with personal hardship. These revelations painted a picture of a man who, despite his success, was often deeply human and vulnerable. Beyond family, some longtime friends and colleagues revealed that Landon was fiercely private about certain aspects of his life, sometimes refusing to discuss topics that troubled him. This secrecy added to the aura of mystery around him. One close friend recalled how Landon would deflect questions about his emotional struggles, always eager to focus on his work or his faith instead. The media also picked up on rumors that Landon's last years were marked by a kind of emotional isolation. While surrounded by loved ones, some accounts suggest he often felt alone in his pain. His illness may have made this isolation more acute, but it also reflected a deeper struggle to reconcile his public persona with the private challenges he faced. What's more, some previously unknown anecdotes surfaced about Landon's generosity and kindness away from the cameras. Stories of quiet acts of support for friends, mentoring young actors, and his devotion to faith revealed a side of him committed to making a difference beyond fame. These stories help balance the more difficult revelations, showing that Landon was a man of contradictions, sometimes flawed, often compassionate. All these new confessions reshape the legacy Landon left behind. They remind us that celebrities are more than their public image, and that the pressures of fame can hide complex personal stories. Michael Landon's life was filled with triumphs and trials, love and loss, success and secret struggles. As these untold stories came to light, fans were forced to rethink what they thought they knew. The man who had inspired so many with his on-screen warmth was also someone who faced his own battles in silence, battles that only now, years later, are finally being understood. And the story doesn't end there. There's one final revelation that brought everything into a new light, one secret that truly changed the way people remember Michael Landon. The final secret about Michael Landon's life, revealed only after his death, was something that reshaped how fans and the public understood the man behind the icon. For years, Landon had been seen as the embodiment of wholesome family values, a figure of unwavering strength and kindness. But the truth that came out later was far more complex, exposing hidden layers that had been carefully guarded. After Landon passed away in 1991, some close family members and friends began to open up about a deeply personal struggle he had carried quietly, one that had never made it into the public eye. It wasn't just a battle with cancer or the well-known family challenges. It was a secret about his emotional and mental health that explained much of the tension and pain he had wrestled with throughout his life. Though details remained delicate, it became clear that Landon had endured periods of intense emotional distress. Moments where the bright persona seen on screen was in stark contrast to what he felt inside. This wasn't about a single event, but a lifelong battle with feelings of isolation, doubt, and inner turmoil. The man who portrayed angels and heroes was himself fighting silent battles, ones he often kept hidden even from those closest to him. This revelation shifted the narrative in a profound way. Suddenly, Landon's struggles weren't just about external challenges like health or family, but an internal fight many never imagined. It helped explain the complexity of his relationships, the secrecy around his illness, and emotional distance some family members described. What made this secret so powerful was that it humanized Landon in a new light. It reminded fans that no matter how inspiring or larger-than-life someone seems, they can carry unseen burdens. It also sparked conversations about the pressure celebrities face to maintain perfect images, and how that can sometimes make it harder to seek help or speak openly about struggles. In the years since, Michael Landon's legacy has evolved. He remains a beloved figure in television history, but now with a deeper, more honest understanding of the man behind the roles. His story is a reminder of the complexity of human experience, the light and the shadow, the public and the private. For many, this final secret brings a bittersweet feeling. Admiration for the work he gave the world, mixed with sympathy for the pain he kept hidden. It encourages us to look beyond the surface in all the people we admire and to remember that everyone has their own story, often unseen. Michael Landon's life was a story of hope, struggle, love, and mystery. And even after his death, his story continues to unfold, reminding us that sometimes the most important truths come from the places we least expect. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Michael Landon's life, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more stories that reveal what's really behind the headlines.